Hey there, amigos. Tio here. It's Memorial Day weekend, the May 29th. This video, I'm showing you what took place on May 23rd, the previous Monday. The reason I'm doing it like this, I want to have it out by tomorrow. The repairs that I'm doing in the video, they're not done right away. A couple more steps had to go throughout the week. I did 5 cars that day, but only 3 we're going to do in the video. But I have follow-ups from certain things that happen, and that happens quite often when you're doing the cars. You're waiting for parts to come in, or you're waiting for approval to go further in the diagnosis, and that seems to be the case in here. And the last vehicle, I'm going to get your input and see what you say, if you agree with me, because the shop owner and I are at odds with the vehicle. So let me just get into it and start it. I'm in the big van today. I drove the Ford E250 on Monday because I had the shop where I was doing the first repair recharge my air conditioner, and I'll be using it this coming up week as it gets hotter. As a matter of fact, as we speak, my thermometer on the wall says it's 97 degrees. Anyway, let me shut up and get into the video. Hey there, amigos. Tio here. So it's a typical Monday morning. I've got 3 to do today. They sound pretty interesting. I know a little bit about them. My first one I'm going to do is an 04 Jeep Cherokee Laredo. The shop owner called me on Friday, said the wipers work just fine. But as soon as you turn the headlights on, they stop working. So, and the first thing I think of, and I'm sure you guys that know Chrysler products, you're thinking to tip them. And I'm thinking, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But anyway, as I looked at the wiring diagrams this weekend, I couldn't see anything where the 2 circuits would have anything in common, except for, here's what I'm expecting to see. I'm expecting to see that with the windshield wipers on and I turn the headlights on, the wipers would go out and the driver's side lights should be dimmer. That's what I'm thinking, just based on the wiring diagrams. There are 2 grounds for the headlights. There's a G106 on the driver's side and a G108 on the passenger side. The windshield wipers and washer pump and all, they share that G106 on the driver's side. So that's what I'm expecting, because that's the only thing in the wiring diagrams that I can see. So we'll see when I get there. I also have a 07 Toyota Sienna LE. It's a PO 500, and we'll talk about that when we get there, because I actually went by there Saturday, and when I looked up stuff yesterday, I found out some pretty interesting things. I looked at the car earlier this month. I do so many cars, I forget them. But I looked at this car, and that's an interesting story. We'll talk about it. And then the last one is, I don't know what year. It's a Ford Expedition. It's got the flashing overdrive light. So anyway, first one is going to be the Jeep. So let's go over there. All right, the Jeep. Let's verify customer complaint. And I think the shop owner just confirmed what I was thinking. He said the windshield wipers actually work slow when the park light's on. So, yeah, so let's go ahead and start it up. 269.92 on the clock. And wipers. All right, there are the wipers. So now let's do some park lights. Oh yeah, they slowed down. Now let's do the headlights. Oh, they stopped. Now let me look. Now I'm suspecting the driver's side to be dimmer. Look at that. Headlight is actually out. All right, that's what we were thinking. So let me pop the hood. I'll be back. All right, this is going to be difficult because the hood won't stay up. I got to get my prop, but this should be the ground right here. Let's see. According to the diagram, that's looking pretty nasty. Now what I'm going to do is just move it, kind of go clockwise with it and see if the wipers come on, because I left them on. I'm just going to move it. All right. It's not good enough to do it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take it off and clean it. But we'll see. I'll be back. Yeah, them wires look pretty nasty. So I got the hood propped up now, so I'll take the wire wheel to it and get this thing off here. I only have my little kit because I'm in the van, little van today. This shop here is actually recharging my air conditioning for me. So I think we're going to be nice and cold. I'm going to start making sure I have the things I need. But anyway, let me clean this up. All right, windshield wipers are on, headlights are on. Wipers are going. And the driver's headlight works now. So it's all good. Just chopped it off here because the bolt was rusted bad, and did a right here. It's under the. Okay, that was fun. Let's see. Took me right in an hour to do that car and have him charge my AC. The AC is blowing. Look at that temperature in here. It's right about 42 right now, but I just pulled it out. So right now it's blowing nice and cold. I'm gonna head up and look at the Expedition. They just text me and said it's over there. I don't even have the year. That's the one with the overdrive light flashing. So I'm gonna head up there next and see what we can get done. I suspect, if I didn't already say it earlier, I suspect it's that the harness number, because I've done so many, is 15525. It goes from the PCM down to the transmission. There's like 6 plugs on the transmission side, 2 on the PCM side, and I suspect that's what it is. The heat going by the exhaust normally does damage to the harnesses, so that's what I think it is. That's what we're going to go look at. So see you in a minute. Oh boy. Oh boy. Let me scan it. All right, so our codes on this one, right there, the O2 sensors right there. I know that doesn't have anything to do with the transmission, but what happens is, what I've been seeing here a lot on that wiring harness is it right by the exhaust, it heats them up and it affects that. And actually I did an 04 here about a month or so ago. They replaced the transmission, the range sensor and everything. And the end result, the harness was damaged, and the cause of it actually messed up the ECU, or PCM, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that was the fix for that car, or that truck. And I got a sneaky suspicion that's what this is going to be. All right, there's a harness right there. I don't know how good it's going to show up, but this one right there, that comes up to here, to this one, and this one right here. If you saw my video on the short to ground on the F-150, that's that same harness. And since that video, I've done countless numbers of these. And if you look right down in there, it's going right against everything. So the wires inside that harness, they melt, and I think that one is the 155/25. This was probably the same, but based on everything I'm hearing about this vehicle now, the long history of this, I would recommend just pulling that harness off and inspecting that harness, because that's probably where all his problems are going to be. All right, so the shop pulled the harness off the Navigator. I think I called it a Expedition earlier, but it's definitely a Navigator. Definitely a good call on this one. We have here where somebody has already tried to do some repairs, butt connectors and all kinds of stuff in there. And then the big part right there where the exhaust melted it. That's common for these. These are the 155/25, but the number that is at the beginning of it and the end of it, the letters and numbers, is what makes a difference. So this one only has 3 connectors on the other end, and then 2 at this end. So, all right, so here is the harness, the PCM end, connector end, coming down, and then this splits off to the C1010 connector, and then from here all the way down to here is bad. The orange tape on here is what I put on here. I typically do that when I take it apart, so I know where, when I put it all back together, where it has to come out to connect the things on the vehicle. But if you look right here, this is where it goes by the exhaust manifold, and that's where it was burnt out. But when opened it up, you can see where somebody has been in here and put butt connectors all here, and they did it again back down here. Now, this particular harness has a total of 4 splices between here and here that come from the factory. The black heat shrink you see here is a splice from the factory. This is a splice right in here, and then there are 2 here, 1 here and 1 here. There's 1 more splice which is down in here, which seems to be no problem. So if you look at the overview of it, I refer to these harnesses, because I've done about 6 in probably the last month, and I always refer to it as the 155/25. Now this particular harness is a 155/25, but whenever you're dealing with these harnesses, the beginning and the end there, that's what makes this harness. And this is the first 6-speed transmission harness I've done, but still it's the 155/25. So the difference on this one and all the 4-speed ones I've done over the past month is normally I have 6 connectors on this end, and then always 2 up here. When you're taking them out, I find it easier to disconnect it from the transmission and pull it up. This is the bulk here is 1 3/4 thick, so you can fish it through. That's the thickest part. This right here is like 2 1/8, I think. So it just seems to be easier to pull it out through there. Now, we found a harness. There's only one that we found, and it's out on the West Coast. And so I'm still gonna cut it here, place it out. I've already got my wiring diagrams and everything I need to pin it out. So I'm ready to do that, and then I'll put some Super 88 on it and some loom, and then some heat shield for it. And then we'll have another one laying around in case we need one later. But that's what's going on with that. The other one will be here this week. I'll pin it out, test it, make sure the wires are fine, and we'll go from there and see if I need to use this one, because I don't want to put this one together until I know whether we need connectors or something to make that harness that's coming work, because it is coming from a salvage yard. So I can't say for 100% that one's going to be good. The last one I just did, I had to use the old one to repair it because it came from the junkyard and it had the same issue. This is normally the issue right by the exhaust manifold with these harnesses. So if you're experiencing these problems, and it happens all the time, if you've replaced your transmission a couple times, you replaced your range sensor, this one doesn't have it, it's built into the rest of it, but you replaced your range sensor and you're still having transmission malfunction problems, this is probably the way you want to go. And in this case, based on what I have, and I have a note from the actual vehicle owner, and he writes, I had the transmission replaced in March because the light was flashing when in D6. After replacement, light still flashing in D6. Vehicle goes into fail-safe mode in D6, jerking and vibrating. According to the first shop that worked on this, input speed is not matching output speed. That is the issue. He doesn't know how to fix it. I have to drive in D4 per this shop, the one I'm at now. Recently, the car would not move once I put it in D4 and had to shift to 6, then to 4 to move the vehicle. This is the second transmission in 3 years. So he says, I'm still driving in 4th gear. The initial mechanic to replace the transmission, he said it must be electrical. The input speed is not matching the output speed. That is the issue, and he doesn't know how to fix it. So that's why this shop that I'm at now had told him to drive it this way and then send him back to the initial shop that kept replacing the transmission. And then of course we're back here. I don't know who's done all this. I don't care. And my call was to save him from testing everything, was just to go ahead and pull this, because based on the note of what the owner said and the history of it, I already knew as a common thing. So I'm hoping in this case, because the last one I did was an 04 F-150, and some of the problems were solved with this, but ultimately in the end we ended up replacing the PCM, so that wasn't good, but it fixed all the problems. So all right, that's where we're at with that. When the new one comes in, like I said, I'll pin it out, make sure I don't need parts from this one, and then I'll close this one up. Okay, now we're on the 07 Sienna. This vehicle I had looked at back on May 2nd. And at that time, based on what I saw, which was the PO 500, and what the shop owner had told me, I turned it down, because what I was figuring, what he had told me, he'd already done to it and everything, and what I knew I was going to have to do, I told him it's probably going to be an hour to 2 hours diag time for me to figure this out. And at that time he told me, he said he watched a YouTube video and it should only take me 5 minutes, and that's why I turned it down. We're friends and it goes through, but you know, as a technician, how many times have you heard that from people that we watched a YouTube video? As a matter of fact, on my shirts, if you watch my other videos, I have 2 of these shirts, and this one I had this patch put on just for him. So when I Velcro his shop name on it and I'm working with him, I make sure I wear that. We have fun with it. So, but anyway, I forgot about this vehicle completely. May 21st, that was Saturday before the Monday start of these videos. I ran the scan report, and then later on in the evening when I was home researching, that's when I realized, hey, that was the same vehicle. So we're back to where we started. So what I'm going to show you now is the video of where I hooked up my scan tool so I could read the wheel speed sensors at the skid control unit, the ABS module. I could read the all 4 wheels from there, and then my Pico was connected to the engine computer so I can see the square wave in there. Now in the video, you can't see it that well. I'll try to do a still so you can see it, but you won't see it that good. All right, I'm on the Toyota Sienna. I got my Pico hooked up. I'm hooked right to the ECU, PCM, whatever you guys want to call it today, the computer. I'm hooked up there to the signal wire from the combination meter to there. I'm looking on the scanner at the wheel speed sensors, and I'm going to drive forward. I'm in a parking lot, great big empty parking lot. So I'm going to drive. I'm going to hold this over there and then review the footage here in a minute. So unlike some of the guys, I can't seem to drive and pay attention to what I have over here. So I'll just stop the recordings and look back at it and see what I have. I'm only at 20 miles an hour. Almost, yeah, 20 miles an hour right there. All right, now let me stop and play it back and see what I have. The scan tool will actually read the wheel speed sensors, and I get up to 20 miles an hour, as you see. And then the speedometer is actually working, and it agrees with the wheel speed sensors. And I'm hooked up with the Pico here at the engine computer. So the problem that I'm seeing is that I have a 10-volt square wave and not a 5-volt square wave. And where do I get that from is because the flow chart here, it says that when I go here to check and I disconnect the combination meter, the speedometer, and take that plug out, I should have 4.5 to 5 volts. And I've got 9.7, as you'll see in this video. All right, I'm pinned out on the signal wire that goes to the ECM. I'm at the combination meter. And I'm on the purple or violet with white stripe. And I have 9.70 volts going right there. So that would explain my square wave of around 10 volts. That's not right. So now I'm going to check the resistance from this connector to the connector over there at the ECM. See what we have. And that's what I have. So based on that, I'm calling the engine computer. Now, the shop owner doesn't understand because he replaced both wheel speed sensors and the ABS module. The light didn't come on. He gave it back to the customer, and they ended up bringing it back. I can't explain why the light didn't come back on. Here's all I can say. I know that here, if this is supposed to be 5 volts and the computer is monitoring it, it's going to see that that's not 5 volts, and it's going to trigger the light, in my opinion. The question was, could we put resistance here and bring it down to 5 volts? And I went back to this and said, well, I assume that this will still see that internally it's 10 volts. It's not what it's supposed to be. So I'm calling the engine computer. He thinks I need to do other checks, but I don't know what else to check because right now I know this is not right according to the information I have. If you guys have another idea, would somebody let me know? Maybe you've seen this before, and you can explain to me why this voltage is high. That would help. Right now, we can get a computer. It's about, I think, $350 after all said and done, but he's got to get approval from the owner. They've already spent a lot of money at the parts cannon, so we'll see what happens. But I'll let you know. I'll do a follow-up to let you know what I find out, and then what I find out about the harness. It's supposed to be here this week, so I'll try to do a follow-up video for that. Until the next one, amigos, I'm out.